Hey everybody, it's me, Zach, and welcome back to my channel. Hey everybody, it's me, Zach, and I continue to be fascinated by the quote-unquote girl-pocalypse that's happening, aka YouTube going through and demonetizing channels that have content relating to eating disorders, to things like that on their channels. And I think girl-pocalypse is a fitting name for what's happening in this corner of the internet, because when I first started doing YouTube, there was a thing called adpocalypse. And adpocalypse was YouTube's response to kind of like a lot of companies coming out and being upset that their ads on YouTube were being played on really divisive types of content. We're talking like things like bigotry and stuff like that. And it led to YouTube doing a lot of revamping of the rules when it came to being monetized and things like that. A lot of people saw a lot of fluctuation in their videos getting monetized and things like that. A lot of people got demonetized because of the very basic like AI checks and balances that were going on even back then. And I was only just getting started in terms of monetization back then, and I remember how frustrating it was because you never really knew for sure. Like, you could know what the terms of service were, but you never really knew for sure if like something in your transcript of your video was gonna get flagged as being like inappropriate and not suitable for advertisement. And to that extent, I think we're really gonna see some similar stuff happen. I think you already see a lot of channels, reaction channels and or channels like Chantal, Rosie, Amberlynn, Hungry Fatchick, etc., who are maybe changing some of their language in terms of how they talk about things on their channels. And that's something I think we've seen time and time again when it comes to YouTube. Well, not even just YouTube. I think it happens on other platforms too, like TikTok and Instagram and whatnot. You see people start to create language to get around talking about these serious issues anyways. So for example, a very popular version of this is saying that somebody unalived themselves instead of saying the alternative. And it also leads to us speaking in acronyms to a point where sometimes you don't know what people are talking about unless you're used to watching a lot of content that covers stuff like that. Like, for instance, in this corner of the internet in the past year or two, I feel like a lot of people have been using the acronym SA instead of talking about sexual assault. All of this to say is that right now I really do kind of agree that some of this is just a matter of YouTube using some bots to try to take things down real quick so that they don't get caught like having stuff up that like advertisers and things like that will be upset with. But that's not also to take away from the fact that like the content related to specifically people like Rosie, Amberlynn, and Chantal has been a mixed bag for years. All three of those content creators, in my opinion, are people who have really blurred the lines in terms of like, one, talking about eating disorders, and then two, like sitting on camera and eating a lot of food all the time for content. And maybe it's not always a lot of food, but then they'll like clickbait like with thumbnails and stuff to make it look like they're eating a lot of food. And I do think some of those things really blur the lines for content related to eating disorders and things like that like I think we can all agree are dangerous, and those people need to really address those concerns in their personal life. I've said for a really long time, especially about Amberlynn and Chantal, that like, as long as you sit here and claim that you have like a bad relationship with food, that continuing to monetize what you eat is never really going to be super healthy on your channel. Because now you're adding another layer to your bad relationship with food. Not only do you not know how to control yourself around it, not only do you maybe use it to cope with your feelings and things like that, but now you're also adding a layer to it where you're monetizing it to make a living and make content on YouTube. Anyways, all of this to say, there have been a few updates in girl world that I think are interesting, that have led me to wanting to talk about this a little bit more. Both of these things are a little bit old news. I had a weird, tough day yesterday, so I didn't get around to making this video yesterday. So apologies if you've already heard people discuss this on their respective channels elsewhere, but I do know there are some people who only get these updates from me, so I thought I would make a quick video to share about them anyways. The first update I want to give is actually from a YouTuber named Hungry Fatchick. A lot of you might be really familiar with her. She doesn't tend to get covered in girl world as much as other people because, well, I can only speak for myself, but I think a lot of people feel similarly to me. But the thing about Hungry Fatchick, or Candy, that's her name that she goes by as well on the internet. The thing about Candy is that she really seems sweet, and she's also very upfront about what her content is. She's never strayed away from the fact that, like, she used to have an online presence doing sex work related to food, related to eating and things like that, and that YouTube has always been a safer place for her to engage in that kind of stuff without having to engage with some of the people involved with it. I think when it comes to talking about Hungry Fatchick, her situation for me just seems like sad. She doesn't seem, at least on paper or like without knowing all of her lore, all of her background, she doesn't seem to have the same issues as a person as like some of the other people I cover on this channel. Because of that, I've never really wanted to like extensively cover her. The one time I did cover her on my channel, I think, well, I've covered her a couple times. She went to the Heart Attack Grill once upon a time with Nikocado Avocado, and I think I reacted to that video because it was insane. And then for a while on her channel, on her main YouTube platform, she was trying to get healthy, and she was doing that via carnivore. And if you don't know anything about me, I do have like a special spot in my heart for carnivores on the internet because the carnivore community and the carnivore culture is wild. And she was posting that stuff to her main YouTube channel, but she was quickly like losing views. Like, she was not getting the same kind of like support on those videos as she did in her mukbangs where she was eating like copious amounts of fast food. And she eventually posted that she just like had to go back to doing mukbangs because she had bills to pay. And she wiped that channel of any and all diet related content. She does have a second channel now where she does occasionally post health related updates. But I think wiping her channel of the diet culture, the diet related videos, may have helped her in this situation because I think that's where the lines get blurred for the other girls. A lot of people have been asking a lot of questions about how somebody like Hungry Fatchick, who does explicitly eat a ton of fast food on camera while also being morbidly obese, is still monetized, but people like Amberlynn, Chantal, and Rosie, who maybe don't do as much of that anymore, somehow have lost their monetizations. I think that's a fair question. I think like folks with eyes could probably also come to that conclusion of like, how is Hungry Fatchick also still monetized? Like, to some extent that does seem a little unfair, all things considered. But also maybe YouTube doesn't have to be fair. I don't know. Like, that's the struggle, that's the journey of being here on YouTube, is that like nothing is promised. We could all lose our monetization tomorrow. And it's really important to have backups and financial savings and things like that. But I don't know, maybe I'm preaching to the choir. So anyways, I was waiting to see if there were going to be any updates from Candy about if her channel was losing monetization. And a couple days ago, she actually did post an update on her post tab on YouTube. She said, "I'd like to make a quick post to thank folks for their concern for my channel. I'm taking steps to build up income on some of my adult platforms, so I should be okay just in case. That being said, I think people are a little confused by what self-harm looks like on YouTube. A mukbang that's just about eating and chatting about the food in your day isn't that. None of my videos are restricted at this time, and I've had no warnings or contact from YouTube, other than this one that I'm going to share." And she does go on to share a screenshot of one of her videos that got flagged. So potentially, they've already been digging around my channel and correcting some of their own mistakes. Apparently, my eating a whole box of donuts does not violate community guidelines. So I don't know. This video was age restricted years ago, and after an appeal was denied multiple times, I gave up on it. I guess they decided it was okay after all. The other girls talk a lot about ED and bingo on their channels. I don't talk about those things on mine. I tried the whole weight loss thing on here for a bit, but then moved all of that stuff to my non-monetized channel. So I don't think I'll have an issue here. Anyhow, we'll see how it plays out. I can do a number of things to make money, from doing custom content, phone sacks, I have a 1-800 number, corn, and trying other platforms like Twitch, Rumble, or Kick, or updating my OnlyFans more often, so I'll be okay. Thanks again to the folks who are looking out for me and actually care about my well-being during all of this. And thanks to the person, this part's juicy, and thanks to the person who emailed me to tell me that Foodie Beauty said I should be demonetized during one of her deleted streams. Maybe she should look into doing corn. She's over there farting on stream. That's money she's giving away right there. Now, Miss Candy's out here clocking the girls. Miss Candy's out here clocking the girls, okay? She said, oh, you're shitting, pissing, and farting for free, Chantal? Do you know how much money you're leaving on the table, Chantal? But yeah, she does also post the communication that YouTube had with her regarding the donut and milk mukbang. It says, we've reviewed your appeal for the following video, and after taking a look, we can confirm that your content does not violate our community guidelines. Thanks for your patience while we reviewed this appeal. So I do think that's interesting, and I don't know. I do think there's also questions of like, yeah, just because maybe you don't talk about those things, like your ED or bingo or however you want to call it, like that doesn't necessarily mean that those things don't exist, right? Like that's the same thing of, I know a lot of people also bring up Eugenia Cooney when having this conversation. It's not like she spent a lot of time on her own channels and her own platforms talking about her ED either. She did do that one video with Shane Dawson where she addressed it, but otherwise, outside of that, I mean, I'm not like the Eugenia like expert by any means. I've personally preferred not to cover her on my channel. I don't think she's also spent a lot of time talking about it, but I think we can all clearly see that there's something going on. So it's really interesting to me. I'm curious because I do feel like over time, when it came to like videos and stuff getting demonetized and some of the like censored words and things, like YouTube's systems for that have gotten better. Like YouTube does have a way for you to mark that you're having conversations about stuff like this to get them checked and approved for monetization. So it's really interesting to me. I do wish, just for the sake of everybody on the platform, that there would be a little bit more communication and what these rules are, or at least like what the things that are getting people in trouble look like. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that this shouldn't be a rule or that like YouTube shouldn't have guidelines around some of this, but I do feel like it would be helpful to have more clear examples of like what is and isn't allowed. And surely some things are subjective, for sure. But it just seems so unclear to me, and like no shade to Candy because she seems like a very sweet human to me from what I can tell. I only know limited things about her, right? But like, I don't know, it doesn't seem fair. Like not that I'm like trying to side with Foodie Beauty or Chantal or Amberlynn, but I would kind of be upset if I was sitting over on their side and like she was still monetized. So I don't know. It's interesting. I'm glad to see that Candy's been thinking about some alternatives. It does make me really sad that some of those alternatives for her seem to be some of the stuff she was trying to get away from by posting on YouTube to begin with. Like that makes me really sad. Again, like in general, talking about Candy and her presence online makes me kind of sad because I just wish there was like an alternative for her. And I got really bummed out when she was seemingly having a lot of success from the carnivore diet back in the day, but then like stopped doing it because she wasn't making enough money to make ends meet on YouTube. The other update I briefly want to give you because I held such a festive memorial service for her channel is an update from your favorite girl, Amberlynn Reid. She posted on her posts tab on her channel, which, by the way, this is the only thing on her channel, and there's no comments allowed on it. She has the one live stream up from when she announced that she was leaving YouTube, okay? Otherwise, this is the only thing that's on her channel currently that you can access. She says, "I've been quiet lately because I really needed the space and silence to find myself again. When I said I might leave YouTube for good, I truly meant the words I was speaking at the time. This platform has held so many versions of me, ones I was so sad to erase from my channel, but others that felt therapeutic to erase and leave behind for good. I've spent my whole adulthood on YouTube. I have literally grown up on here." Well, I don't think that's entirely true. She wasn't on here for the entirety of her 20s, was she? I don't know. Never mind. Not important. Not important. "Stepping away made me realize how deeply it truly has woven into my life, and I don't know anything different. I've been spending this time away working on myself, finding new income outlets, exploring different coping skills, and discovering new hobbies." That's so interesting. I don't know. Put a pin in it, Zach. Finish reading, put a pin in it, come back to it, because I have thoughts about that. "For the first time ever, I'm experiencing existing without having to perform." That's interesting. Without having to perform. So you're acknowledging that some of this is a performance? Okay, just put a pin in that too. "I truly believe everything happens for a reason, and I am grateful for this much needed time away and what has led that to be." I don't get that sentence. "It's been hard, different, and a learning curve, but it has showed me that I'm stronger than I think. I'm able to overcome even the toughest of challenges and changes to my life. I miss you all, and I truly hope this holiday month is treating you gently. And thank you to those who have been patient and kind during this transformation. I'm excited to say that my first video back will be February 2nd, 2026. See you all next year." Well, I guess happy birthday to Zachary Marie, because my birthday's February 4th. Although, again, I don't know that I'm trying to get way back into Amberlynn content. I think like the main purpose of me even keeping up with this right now is because I am really fascinated by this girl apocalypse, like by all of this stuff happening around the monetization of channels like Amberlynn's, because it's interesting to me. It's interesting like how YouTube is coming to these decisions. I would love to know more about it all. I will say her speaking about, getting to experience existing without having to perform is interesting, is fascinating, that's how she's thought about her time on YouTube. It's also interesting because she's talked about existing outside of YouTube without performing too. This isn't the first time she's suggested that she acts a certain kind of way on the internet because she feels like she has to act a certain kind of way, and said that her real life is entirely different. I think one of the things, unfortunately, that she's lost the plot with over the past couple of years because of the internet of it all is like actually showing us genuine things that she does. It's really got tiring and repetitive at the end of my time of covering Amberlynn, because she really wasn't doing anything new. And the only new things that were coming out about her were really dark things. Like, I was just like, I would love to just go back to watching you color some pages in a book, Diva, because like, I'd rather cover that than you sitting here defending yourself against all of the allegations of your exes. But the tea is if she does come back in February and she shares some of these things that she's allegedly been doing, right? Like exploring different coping skills, discovering new hobbies, like some of that could be interesting content, right? Like it could be interesting content for her that people might be interested in. And I think in the same ways that like me stepping away from watching her had pushed me out of my comfort zone in terms of like trying some new and different content, I would really like to see that for her. Not that I want good in the world for Amberlynn Reid, but it's just like, yeah, Diva, I hope you're doing something with this time while you're not on the internet. I hope you're doing something. It's hard for me to imagine what that looks like, so maybe that would be a great thing for you to show to folks. And maybe that's what she's doing. She is in fact saying like she'll be back on a specific date. It's not unlike Amberlynn to pre-record a bunch of content and schedule it way far in advance so that she doesn't get behind. She did originally, the date was originally like February 9th, I think, so I don't know why she switched it to the 2nd, outside of like maybe she just wanted it to be there for my birthday. I'm happy to make things about myself, even though they probably aren't. But the one thing I will say is if she's sitting here pre-recording a bunch of stuff, then she's not really doing the experiencing life existing without having to perform situation type of deal. So I don't know. It's all very fascinating. It's fascinating that she is in fact like gonna come back. I mean, she was the one that said once upon a time that, you know, she would do YouTube even if she wasn't getting paid. I also don't think February 2nd is going to have been 3 months. If you just go off of the date that she posted the live stream where she was announcing that she was going, that was on November 24th. So like the 90-day reapplication fee would be February 24th. But she probably does want to get some different content up on her channel so that there is something for YouTube to review and say, yes, like your content is appropriate now and you can in fact monetize it. That's just my thoughts about it. I am really curious to see where all of this goes moving forward. There's obviously just so many questions about it, and I think a lot of people are rightfully celebrating some of these people losing their platforms because, in particular, folks like Amberlynn and Chantal have gone years and years and years without having to face any consequences for their bad behavior on the internet. So I do think there are people who are kind of like getting excited about that level of consequence hitting these girlies. But outside of just them, I do think that there are more questions to be asked from YouTube in terms of like a larger conversation about what's happening on this platform. Because I tell people all the time, I was just telling my friend who was asking me about why I started doing Twitch when I already had a platform on YouTube. I said, girly, any of these platforms could decide that like my channel shouldn't exist or that I shouldn't be monetized like that. Like, it's not lost on me that I need other sources of revenue. Anyways, I'm gonna shut the fuck up because I didn't want this to be like a super long video today, and my yapping ass found a way to sit here and yap for nearly 27 minutes. So I'm gonna shut the fuck up, but let me know your thoughts down below. If you're brand new here and you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing, hit the bell button so you get notifications when I post a new video or I go live. Make sure to leave me a comment, hit like, click share, and follow me on all my social media. I had so much fun today. I hope you did too, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!